Hey everyone, welcome back to Switch Top. Today, let's count down the top 20 games you need to replay on Switch 2. Trust me, you're going to want to add these to your library if you haven't already. Let's dive in. Resident Evil Village remains one of the most memorable survival horror adventures to revisit on Switch 2. The game places you back in the role of Ethan Winters as he explores a mysterious European village filled with deadly lichens, disturbing creatures, and unforgettable villains. Gameplay blends tense first-person exploration with fast-paced combat, where blocking attacks, managing limited ammo, and carefully choosing weapons become key to survival. The world is built around a central village hub that connects several unique regions, each offering puzzles, secrets, and powerful boss encounters. The Duke Merchant adds an RPG-like layer, letting players upgrade weapons, craft ammo, and sell treasures discovered during exploration. The Gold Edition also expands the experience with extra story content, a full third-person mode, and the replayable Mercenaries Challenge mode. On Switch 2, the RE engine scales impressively, running around 30 to 45 frames per second with dynamic resolution that reaches roughly 1080p when docked. Xenoblade Chronicles X, Definitive Edition, is one of the most ambitious sci-fi RPG adventures to revisit on Switch 2. Set on the mysterious planet Mira after humanity escapes a destroyed Earth, the game focuses on exploration, discovery, and large-scale battles across a massive open world filled with alien wildlife, towering landscapes, and hidden secrets. Players join the organization Blade and take on missions that expand humanity's colony while uncovering the dangers of this new planet. Combat blends real-time action with tactical depth. Characters auto-attack while you activate powerful arts on cooldown, switching between melee and ranged weapons to chain attacks and exploit enemy weaknesses. As the adventure expands, players unlock skells, powerful transformable mechs that dramatically change exploration and combat, allowing high-speed traversal and epic battles against gigantic creatures. On Switch 2, the experience feels smoother and more immersive, running up to around 60 frames per second, with improved image clarity that can reach up to 4K resolution when docked, and around 1080p in handheld. Dave the Diver is one of those games that feels impossible to put down, especially when revisiting it on Switch 2. The adventure follows Dave as he dives into the mysterious blue hole, exploring ever-changing underwater environments filled with colorful fish, dangerous predators, and hidden ruins waiting to be discovered. Each dive is a careful balance between exploration and survival, as oxygen levels, inventory space, and hostile sea creatures constantly push you to decide how deep you're willing to go before returning to the surface. The fish you catch become the heart of the game's second half, running a lively sushi restaurant at night, where managing dishes, staff, and customers adds a surprisingly addictive management layer. New gadgets, weapons, and upgrades gradually expand how far you can explore, while side quests, boss encounters, and quirky characters keep the adventure fresh. On Switch 2, the experience feels smoother and sharper, running around 30 frames per second with improved clarity reaching about 1440p docked and around 1080p in handheld. Romancing Saga 2: Revenge of the Seven offers one of the most unique RPG experiences to revisit on Switch 2, thanks to its generational storytelling and deep strategic systems. Instead of following a single hero, you lead an entire empire across centuries as different emperors inherit the throne and continue the fight against the legendary Seven Heroes. Every generation brings new characters, abilities, and decisions that shape the future of the kingdom. Combat blends classic turn-based battles with the SaGa series' signature mechanics, where characters awaken new techniques in the middle of fights and develop strength based on the weapons and strategies you use. Formation systems and party positioning add another layer of tactical depth, encouraging experimentation with different builds and playstyles. Beyond combat, expanding cities and managing the empire creates a sense of long-term progression as your kingdom slowly grows stronger. On Switch 2, the adventure feels smoother and sharper, running up to 60 frames per second with improved visual clarity, reaching around 1440p docked and about 1080p in handheld.
Are you injured, Gerard?
Super Mario Odyssey remains one of the most joyful platforming adventures to replay on Switch 2, thanks to its creative mechanics and endlessly rewarding exploration. The journey follows Mario and his companion Cappy as they travel across vibrant kingdoms to stop Bowser's latest plan. But the real magic comes from the capture mechanic. By throwing Cappy, Mario can take control of enemies, objects, and even environmental elements, transforming the way you move through each level. One moment you're controlling a towering dinosaur smashing through obstacles, and the next you're solving clever puzzles using unusual abilities. Every kingdom is built like a sandbox playground filled with hidden power moons, secret challenges, and platforming sections that reward curiosity and experimentation. The freedom to explore and discover surprises around every corner makes returning to these worlds incredibly satisfying. On Switch 2, the adventure feels smoother and sharper than ever, running at a stable 60 frames per second, with enhanced clarity reaching up to 4K resolution when docked, and around 1080p in handheld. Hollow Knight remains one of the most atmospheric and rewarding adventures to replay on Switch 2. Set in the haunting underground kingdom of Hallownest, the game blends precise 2D platforming with intense, skill-based combat as you guide the Silent Knight through forgotten cities, ancient caverns, and mysterious ruins. Exploration follows a classic Metroidvania structure, where new abilities like dashing, wall jumping, and double jumping gradually open paths to previously unreachable areas, constantly rewarding curiosity. Combat is fast and demanding, especially during the game's memorable boss battles that test timing, positioning, and mastery of the knight's abilities. A deep charm system allows players to customize their playstyle, enhancing spells, improving survivability, or boosting aggressive strategies depending on how you want to approach challenges. On Switch 2, the haunting world of Hallownest feels smoother and sharper than ever, running at 60 frames per second in 4K when docked, while an optional 120 frames per second mode at 1080p delivers incredibly fluid movement. The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom is one of the most ambitious adventures to revisit on Switch 2, thanks to its massive open world and incredibly creative gameplay systems. Set across the vast lands of Hyrule, floating sky islands, and mysterious underground depths, the game constantly rewards curiosity and experimentation. Link gains powerful abilities that completely change how players interact with the world. Ultra Hand allows you to build vehicles and strange machines from scattered objects. Fuse lets you combine weapons and materials to create unique tools. Ascend opens hidden paths by letting Link travel upward through terrain, and Recall manipulates time to solve puzzles or control objects during combat. These mechanics encourage endless creativity, letting players approach challenges in countless ways. Exploration is filled with shrines, caves, powerful enemies, and secrets hidden across every corner of the map, making the world feel alive and constantly surprising. On Switch 2, the adventure runs far smoother, delivering a stable 60 frames per second with enhanced clarity reaching around 1440p docked, with 4K output and about 1080p in handheld. No Man's Sky becomes an even more impressive adventure to revisit on Switch 2, thanks to its enormous procedurally generated universe and constantly evolving gameplay systems. The journey begins on a distant planet, where survival, exploration, and curiosity drive everything you do. Players scan alien wildlife, mine resources, craft technology, and slowly upgrade their equipment while discovering new planets, each with its own ecosystems, weather, and strange creatures. Space travel is seamless, allowing you to fly from a planet's surface into orbit and jump between star systems in search of rare materials, ancient ruins, and hidden secrets. Over time, the adventure expands with base building, freighter fleets, settlement management, and massive exploration opportunities that make every play session feel different. The mysterious story unfolds gradually through alien signals and ancient civilizations scattered across the galaxy, encouraging players to keep exploring deeper into space. On Switch 2, the universe feels smoother and sharper, running around 40 frames per second at roughly 1080p in handheld mode and about 30 frames per second at around 1440p when docked. No Kuni II: Revenant Kingdom is a charming fantasy adventure that feels perfect to revisit on Switch 2 thanks to its colorful world and varied gameplay systems. The story follows the young King Evan and his ally Roland as they travel across a magical land to build a new kingdom and unite different nations. Exploration plays a big role, as players roam vibrant landscapes filled with towns, dungeons, and monsters while uncovering side quests and hidden secrets. Combat takes a fast, real-time approach where you control a 3-character party, switching between fighters while using melee attacks, magical abilities, and special skills to defeat enemies. The adventure constantly evolves by introducing new mechanics, including large-scale skirmish battles and a deep kingdom-building system where you recruit citizens, construct buildings, and unlock powerful upgrades that strengthen your growing nation. On Switch 2, the experience feels smoother and clearer, running around 60 frames per second with improved image clarity that can reach roughly 1440p when docked and around 1080p in handheld.
I think the beginning and the end, story-wise, are really good. I think they're really cute. I like a lot of the characters, but there is that middle section when you're exploring.
The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom offers a refreshing twist on the classic Zelda formula and becomes even more enjoyable to revisit on Switch 2. This time, the adventure puts Princess Zelda in the spotlight as she journeys across Hyrule to investigate mysterious rifts that threaten the kingdom. Instead of relying on traditional weapons, Zelda uses the magical Tri-Rod to create echoes, allowing players to copy objects, enemies, and environmental elements and summon them anywhere. This mechanic turns puzzles and exploration into a creative playground, stacking objects to climb cliffs, spawning creatures to fight enemies, or building clever paths through dangerous areas. The world is packed with towns, dungeons, secrets, and strange regions where reality begins to break apart, constantly encouraging experimentation. On Switch 2, the adventure feels smoother and clearer than before, delivering a stable 60 frames per second while boosting image quality to around 1440p when docked and about 1080p in handheld. Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury is one of the most entertaining platformers to revisit on Switch 2, thanks to its mix of classic level-based design and open-world experimentation. The main adventure follows Mario and friends as they travel through colorful worlds to rescue the Sprixie Kingdom, jumping across creative stages packed with secrets, clever platforming challenges, and memorable power-ups like the cat suit that lets Mario climb walls and swipe enemies. Each level feels like a playful obstacle course designed around fast movement, precise jumps, and rewarding exploration, especially when playing cooperatively with friends. The Bowser's Fury expansion takes a different approach by dropping Mario into the open waters of Lake Lapcat, where islands can be explored freely while collecting cat shines and battling the gigantic Fury Bowser during intense environmental boss encounters. On Switch 2, the experience feels smoother and sharper, with Bowser's Fury running at a locked 60 frames per second, and enhanced clarity reaching around dynamic 1800p when docked, and about 1080p in handheld. Divinity: Original Sin 2 is one of the deepest RPG adventures to revisit on Switch 2, offering a massive world filled with meaningful choices, tactical combat, and countless ways to approach every situation. Set in the fantasy realm of Rivellon, the story begins with characters imprisoned for wielding a dangerous magic known as Source, quickly expanding into a complex journey involving rival factions, powerful beings, and the struggle for control of the world's future. Gameplay focuses on party-based, turn-based battles, where strategy is everything. Positioning your characters, combining abilities, and manipulating the environment, like electrifying water or igniting poison clouds, can completely change the outcome of a fight. Outside combat, exploration rewards curiosity with hidden quests, branching dialogue, and companions whose personal stories evolve based on your decisions. On Switch 2, the experience feels smoother and clearer than before, running up to 60 frames per second at around 1080p when docked, while handheld mode targets around 30 frames per second, making Rivellon's tactical battles and detailed environments even more enjoyable to experience again. Shin Megami Tensei 5: Vengeance is one of the most strategic JRPGs to revisit on Switch 2, combining deep turn-based combat with a dark, mysterious world filled with demons. The story follows a student who suddenly finds himself transported to Dot, a ruined version of Tokyo where angels and demons wage war over the fate of humanity. After merging with a mysterious being to become the Nahobino, players explore vast desert-like regions, uncover secrets, and recruit powerful demons to build their team. Combat revolves around the press turn system, where exploiting enemy weaknesses grants extra actions, turning every battle into a tactical puzzle that rewards smart planning. The game also features an extensive demon fusion system, allowing players to create stronger allies and experiment with countless team combinations. On Switch 2, the experience feels smoother and more stable, running around 30 frames per second with improved resolution clarity, reducing the performance drops seen before, and making exploration and intense demon battles across DOT far more immersive to experience again. Tomb Raider Definitive Edition is a cinematic action-adventure that feels great to revisit on Switch 2, thanks to its mix of survival gameplay, exploration, and intense combat. The story follows a young Lara Croft after she becomes stranded on the mysterious island of Yamatai, forcing her to adapt and survive while uncovering the island's dark secrets. Gameplay blends platforming, puzzle solving, and third-person shooting as Lara climbs cliffs, explores ancient ruins, and discovers hidden tombs scattered across forests, caves, and abandoned structures. As the adventure progresses, players unlock new skills and upgrade weapons, allowing stealthy bow attacks, close-range firefights, and more flexible ways to approach enemy encounters. Exploration constantly rewards curiosity with collectibles, optional tomb challenges, and environmental puzzles that deepen the journey. On Switch 2, the adventure feels smoother and more immersive than before, running at a stable 60 frames per second with native 1080p resolution, making traversal, combat, and cinematic moments across the island feel sharper and far more fluid to experience again. Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Galaxy 2 remain two of the most imaginative platforming adventures ever created, and revisiting them on Switch 2 makes their cosmic journeys feel smoother than ever. The adventure sends Mario across a vibrant universe after Bowser launches a galactic scheme, forcing him to travel from planet to planet, collecting power stars and restoring balance to the cosmos. What makes these games unforgettable is their gravity-defying level design, where tiny spherical worlds, rotating platforms, and floating space structures constantly twist the way you move and think about platforming. Running around entire planets, launching between galaxies, and mastering Mario's moves like the spin attack and wall jumps creates a sense of playful creativity in every stage. Each galaxy introduces new mechanics, puzzles, and surprises that keep the adventure fresh from start to finish. On Switch 2, the experience looks sharper and feels incredibly fluid, running at a smooth 60 frames per second, with enhanced clarity reaching up to 4K resolution when docked, and around 1080p in handheld. Red Dead Redemption remains one of the most immersive open-world adventures to revisit on Switch 2, delivering a cinematic journey through the fading days of the Wild West. The story follows former outlaw John Marston, who is forced by the government to hunt down members of his old gang in exchange for the safety of his family. His journey takes him across a vast frontier filled with dusty towns, lawless deserts, and unpredictable encounters that make the world feel alive. Gameplay blends exploration, horseback travel, and intense shootouts, allowing players to hunt wildlife, help strangers, and take on missions that slowly reveal Marston's past. Gunfights are built around the iconic Deadeye system, which slows time and lets players mark multiple enemies before unleashing a perfectly timed gunslinger attack. On Switch 2, the experience feels smoother and more cinematic than before, running at a stable 60 frames per second with enhanced image clarity reaching around 1440p when docked and about 1080p in handheld. Red Dead Redemption remains one of the most immersive open-world adventures to revisit on Switch 2, delivering a cinematic journey through the fading days of the Wild West. The story follows former outlaw John Marston, who is forced by the government to hunt down members of his old gang in exchange for the safety of his family. His journey takes him across a vast frontier filled with dusty towns, lawless deserts, and unpredictable encounters that make the world feel alive. Gameplay blends exploration, horseback travel, and intense shootouts, allowing players to hunt wildlife, help strangers, and take on missions that slowly reveal Marston's past. Gunfights are built around the iconic Deadeye system, which slows time and lets players mark multiple enemies before unleashing a perfectly timed gunslinger attack. On Switch 2, the experience feels smoother and more cinematic than before, running at a stable 60 frames per second with enhanced image clarity reaching around 1440p when docked and about 1080p in handheld. The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening is one of the most charming adventures to revisit on Switch 2, thanks to its unique toy-like art style and classic Zelda gameplay. The journey begins when Link washes ashore on a mysterious Koholint Island, a strange land filled with forests, mountains, and hidden dungeons. To escape the island, Link must explore its world and collect magical instruments that can awaken the legendary Windfish. Gameplay focuses on exploration, puzzle solving, and carefully designed dungeons, where players use tools like bombs, bows, and the Roc's Feather to overcome obstacles and defeat creative bosses. Outside the dungeons, the island is packed with quirky characters, side quests, and secrets hidden in every corner, rewarding curiosity and experimentation. On Switch 2, the adventure feels smoother and sharper than before, running at a stable 60 frames per second, with improved image clarity reaching up to 4K resolution when docked and around 1080p in handheld. Hogwarts Legacy becomes an even more magical adventure to revisit on Switch 2, letting players fully immerse themselves in the wizarding world. The journey begins as you create your own witch or wizard and arrive at Hogwarts as a new student with a rare connection to mysterious ancient magic. From attending classes and learning powerful spells to exploring iconic places like Hogsmeade and the Forbidden Forest, the game offers a huge world filled with secrets and discoveries. Combat blends fast spellcasting with strategy, allowing players to chain magical attacks, use potions, and experiment with different abilities to defeat dark wizards and dangerous creatures. Beyond battles, the adventure expands with broom flight, hidden dungeons, magical beasts to discover, and countless side quests scattered across the countryside. On Switch 2, the experience feels smoother and clearer, running around 30 frames per second with improved stability, while internal resolution, around 720p docked and 540p in handheld, is reconstructed to roughly 1080p. Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet become much more enjoyable to revisit on Switch 2 thanks to their massive open-world design and smoother performance. The adventure takes place in the vast Paldea region, where players are free to explore mountains, forests, deserts, and cities while building their dream Pokemon team. Instead of following a strict path, the game lets you tackle 3 different story routes in any order, discovering new Pokemon, battling trainers, and uncovering secrets scattered across the region. Classic turn-based battles return with a strategic twist through the terastallization mechanic, which temporarily changes a Pokemon's type and boosts its abilities, opening new tactical possibilities during fights. Exploration constantly rewards curiosity with hidden items, powerful Pokemon encounters, and large-scale Terra raid battles that can be tackled with friends. On Switch 2, the adventure feels far smoother than before, running around 60 frames per second with improved resolution and sharper visuals. And there you have it, my top 20 games that are absolutely worth replaying on Switch 2. Look, I know everyone's list is going to be different, and that's what makes gaming so awesome. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, subscribe for more gaming content, and hit the bell so you don't miss future videos. Thanks for watching.